Okay, so now I'm going to be reviewing Scream 4, which came out in 2011. So 9 years after the third movie came out. The movie, of course, stars Neve Campbell, David Arquette, Courtney Cox, Emma Roberts, Morel Jaffe, Marley Shelton, um, Eric Knudsen, Rory Culkin, and Nico Tortellio, Anthony Anderson, Adam Brody, and basically that is the main cast in this one. Now this one happens, I'm gonna guess the timeline of this 9 years after the events of part 3. And Sydney is a successful writer now, and she's going on a book tour, and she stops in Woodsboro to promote her book, which is about her overcoming her victimhood status after the events of the first 3 movies. When she arrives in Woodsboro, a bunch of killings start happening, which mimic the killings from the first movie, the very first set of murders in the first movie. And this time the killer is using the rules of a remake or reboot, and also pairing it with social media to broadcast the murders out to everyone, basically making their own movie to get their 15 minutes of fame. I saw this one in the theater, and I really enjoyed this one. I had a lot of fun watching it in the theater the first time I saw it, and rewatching it again recently, I really enjoy this one. 1 and 4 are my favorites in this franchise. Yeah, I liked how they made everything, they modernized a lot of things. You know, they're poking fun at reboots and never ending sequels and franchises and social media, stuff like that. Um, and this is not the first Scream movie I saw, so don't say, oh, it's because this is the first one you saw, and, because you're young and this and that. It's not that. I've seen all the Scream movies before I seen this one, and this one is still one of the funnest ones in the franchise to me. Um, I laughed at a lot of the jokes. I liked a lot of the characters in it. Um, Mainly Emma Roberts. I'm not a fan. I like her acting, but she mainly portrays bitchy characters in her movies. And in this movie, she's supposed to be like the sweet, innocent type of girl. And then later on, you find out that she's actually one of the killers, and she turns to like a psycho bitch on a dime. And I thought she did a really good job with that in this movie. Now I know a lot of people hate this movie, and I don't know why. I know people like different things, but this movie is really fun in my opinion, and it's really, I felt it stayed in line with the rest of the franchise. First one made fun of like horror movie cliches. The second one made fun of trilogy or sequel cliches, and then third was trilogies, and then this one is making fun of reboots and remakes. And I feel it's kind of ahead of its time, especially like now, especially with the social media aspect, because there's people now who are getting famous for killing people and streaming it on social media. And I felt it was kind of weird because last night, I was reading this article about this Instagram star that was murdered, and she was killed, and the killer posted her body on the internet for everyone to see. And it was kind of weird because I was about to watch this movie and that happened, and this is what this movie is kind of criticizing, because Jill and the other killer, that's their motive. One of their motives is to become famous from a tragedy, and of course they're not showing that they killed anybody, they are killing people and they're hiding their faces, but they're still showing their crimes for everyone to see to get famous off of it. I liked Neve Campbell in this. I thought she was really good. She was very sympathetic and she felt bad for what these kids were going through in this movie. And she wanted to help them. And like one scene that I really liked is when, the two girls, I think it's Riley or not Riley, Bailey and um Jill, who is Emma Roberts' character. They're laying there watching Shaun of the Dead, and they get a phone call, and one of their friends just got home, but they have, there's some murders happened before that, and they have police cars out there, patrolling the area, and their friend got home, and the friend lives next door, but not Julia, Emma Roberts and her friend, they get a phone call, and the killer's taunting them, and he goes, well, I'm in your closet, and then they go, they go, they think it's Emma Roberts' boyfriend that's doing it, so they open the closet, and he's not in there, and he goes, I didn't say I was in your closet, and then he jumps, you see the killer come out of the closet, and in the next house, and he starts stabbing the girl, and then the girls in the other house are freaking out and stuff, and Sydney runs up and is trying to figure out what's going on, and she sees the girl in the next house getting stabbed, so she's trying to go over there and help her, and when she gets over there, it's too late, the girl's dead, and she's gutted, and there's like blood all over the walls and stuff, and Sydney just starts crying and shit, because she's been through that, and it was like a very heartbreaking kind of touching scene and stuff, because she wants to help him but she can't, because she does try to help, but it was too late, and she answers the phone, and the killer's like, oh, I see that you came too late, and he goes, you're not going to be the only sole survivor anymore. And her and Ghostface get into a tussle and all that. Um, that one, like I said, that was a very good, heartbreaking kind of scene in the movie. I also like the opening where they're making fun of sequels, and it's like a movie within a movie. Like the characters are watching. There's like Stab 6 is playing out, and then it cuts, and then it's another movie. Like when the characters get killed in Stab 6, it cuts out, and then you see it's actually someone, they're actually watching, there's two other characters watching the movie, and then you find out that the movie, that one Stab 7, and then it finally goes into the real movie, and two girls get killed off, and that starts the chain of events for this movie. Now they said that the kills are supposed to be replications of the kills in the first movie, which I didn't really see, because none of them really stood out as kills, or stood out like that. The only time like it seemed like a replication was when Rory Culkin's character's tied down into the chair, and the killer calls Bailey, and she starts questioning her about horror movies, and it was very reminiscent of Steve and Drew Barrymore's character in the first movie. Yeah, I also like Sydney has like this bitchy publicist who she's just trying to get rich off of the crimes. And there's even this one scene where she's like talking to someone on the phone, her publicist, Sydney's publicist, and she's like, yeah, there's two teenagers dead. And she's like, lucky I got this fucking break and stuff. And it's like she was happy that two people died just so she could get a news story. But later on, Sydney fires her because, the woman just wants, Sydney to get deals and stuff, and Sydney don't want to do it anymore because there's murders going on. So Sydney fires her, and then the girl's walking, or the publicist is walking out, and she gets a phone call in the parking lot, and, he said, the killer's like, I can see you, she's saying like, "Oh, I'm in the hospital and stuff," and he says, "Oh, that's funny. I see that you're walking through a parking lot and a parking garage." And she goes into the car, and Ghostface trying to get into the car, and then she thinks he's gone, and then he gets a hold of her and stabs her and throws her off the top of the parking garage, and she falls and lands on a news van because they're having like this press conference. And I thought that kill was pretty good. It's not memorable, or it's not creative, but I thought it was pretty good kill. Um, and when the girl got gutted too, you don't see the aftermath, but I thought that was pretty good. Um, what else? I like too that they had horror nerds. Like, I know, like when I was in high school, like I wish we had like a film class, because I live in a small ass town and we never had that. And I was like, I think the only horror nerd in my school, because I didn't really know anyone else that liked horror movies. But in this movie, it was cool. They had like three horror nerds, and one of them was actually a girl, and I thought that was pretty cool. And of course, they're talking. They go two of them, Rory Culkin's character and Eric Nunson, I think he is. They run like this film class at their school, and they invite Gale Weathers and Sydney to come to get and they do a rundown of remakes and reboots, and like why they think the killer is patterning the murders off of this. And then the one guy, Eric Nunson's character, he has a video camera, like a GoPro, I guess, on top of his head, and he records everything. So it's kind of like streaming before. I don't know. I don't remember if streaming was around in 2011. But I don't think it was like it is now. But yeah, he like streams everything for people to watch, and that's an element that the killer uses in the movie. And I thought that was pretty cool. Like I said, it's more relevant now because there's people who actually go on Facebook Live and stream their fucking murders and stuff on it. Pretty sick. Um, so yeah, and the killer reveals at the end it when it's like Emma Roberts, which I wasn't expecting, her character, which I wasn't expecting. She's jealous because Sydney is like the celebrity in the family, and you could tell that she does not care about anyone. She kills her own mom, and she said, I had to kill my own mom, which wasn't a great loss there. That's what she said. And she doesn't care about anyone. She just wants to be famous. And I felt that was realistic, especially for nowadays. There's a lot of people who would do anything just to get famous off of the internet. And her boy, or her partner, who was Rory Culkin's character, who is one of the horror nerds, he just wanted to be famous too, but he wanted to be the Randy of this one, the reboot. And I felt that the killer, especially Jill's motive, was very realistic. Especially for this generation, it was very realistic. And when she's framing the whole murder and stuff, like afterwards, like she's fucking herself up to make it look like she was beat up, because she's trying to frame her boyfriend, and she's like messing herself up, and she's like all that. I'm like, this bitch is psycho. And then the whole ending, where at the confrontation at the hospital, where you know she's fighting Sydney, and because she stabbed Sydney, she thought Sydney was dead, but I thought it was dumb because you only stabbed her once. But she gets out of the hospital bed because Dewey's talking to her, or Emma Roberts' character. Dewey's talking to her in the hospital bed, and because everyone's like, oh, she survived this tragedy, she's the new Sidney Prescott, this and that. And then Dewey said that, was telling her that, oh, Sydney might be alive, she might make it through. And then she waits until Dewey leaves, and then she gets out the bed and starts looking for Sydney to finish her off. And then Dewey's talking to Gale Weathers, and she's like, yeah, that Jill girl, I think she's gonna make it. She said that you and her got the same matching scars. And then Gail's like, oh, she got stabbed in the chest too? Or the shoulder too? He's like, yeah. And she's like, well, how would she know that? And then they find out that she's one of the killers. So they go up and follow her. And then Emma Robert, or Jill, starts talking to Sydney. She goes, where do you, like, Michael fucking Myers? Why won't you die? And then, like, they get into this big confrontation. And I thought that was a really cool scene. And pretty funny. Um, yeah, also, like, some things I did pick up this time around, like Anthony Perkins' character, or Anthony Anderson character is named Anthony Perkins, so that's a reference to Psycho, which I didn't pick that up. And I thought his death scene was pretty cool, too. He got stabbed in the head with a knife, and I thought that was pretty cool. The quote later on that he says when he goes, fuck Bruce Willis, I didn't really understand that, but, yeah. Um, Yeah, I would highly recommend this one. It's a very fun movie. If you like this franchise, I would highly recommend it. Anyways, I don't know why a lot of people hate this movie, but I love it. I really had a good time with it. The first time I saw it and this time around, I really enjoyed it. So, um, it's a great modern update to the franchise as a whole. The TV series kind of went on more with the modern aspects with it, but I think this movie still it does pretty good, even though it came out in 2011. It does really cover a lot of things we see now, especially with the reboots and remakes, um and with social media. But anyways, that's my review, and I'm sad. I'm sorry to say, I'm sad this was Craven's last movie, but he went out with a bang, I believe, with this one. And I know he did help produce the TV show, but I think when it premiered, he died not that long after. But anyways, yeah, I miss Wes Craven. He did make a lot of great movies, and this one, like I said, was he went out with a bang on this one. Anyways, that's my review.